Welcome to Awakening 101. I'm Jeremiah.
Oh shit, I'm Chaz, I forgot.
And this is Chaz, as always.
Me.
Today, we're talking sacred geometry.
What?
How far does it go? How deep do we go? And what does Chaz know?
Shit.
We'll find out today. Right now. Welcome back to another video, another episode, and another podcast. Let's go. Chaz, what are we talking about? Sacred geometry? What do you know?
I thought sacred geometry was bullshit. I thought that it was just like some spiritual shit and like pseudoscience, I guess.
Oh?
And I would say that it's very intertwined with quantum physics. I spent a lot of time in my life educating myself on quantum physics. It's a very weird part of me. I get it. I understand. But it's like the one thing I'm like truly passionate about that in life. I don't know why. It's been that way. I guess I do and I don't. You know, it's
Interesting.
Like I guess I get it in some degree. I don't in another degree. But and I love electricity in the electrical world.
Yeah.
They inherently commingle. If you try to understand something deep enough, you're going to wind up in quantum physics. And so that's where it led me down that road, which then I got to a point in the last, what I was just telling you a little bit ago, I got to a point where I was like, I've been studying this for like 20 years and it doesn't fucking make sense.
I want to know what started you down the rabbit hole of sacred geometry. Why did you all of a sudden be like, I need to look into sacred geometry? I have to.
I think, you know, people around me, people like Slim, people like you coming into my life.
Hi.
And being like, yo, there's this spiritual side of life you're not necessarily understanding. And then I kept thinking, this doesn't make sense. I keep force feeding it to myself. Can't make it make any logical sense.
What are you force feeding to yourself?
Quantum physics. Mainstream quantum
Because
physics.
you didn't have the other side of it?
I didn't have any, dude, I didn't have sacred geometry.
Yeah,
and so
it plays a big part.
I remember telling Slim one night, months ago, maybe like a year or two ago, I don't know, some time ago.
It's a blip at this point.
It's a blip, dude. It doesn't even matter. It was. I think it was last summer. But long story short, I said, I don't understand why, Slim, but I'm being told to go investigate sacred geometry. I don't know what it is. I don't know shit about it. That's clear. I think it has to do with like shapes and numbers and shit.
It's a circle and a triangle of sorts.
That's kind of, yeah, dude. And it was like, but we're like inward within, one with shape. And I'm like, dude, oh shit, dude, what am I getting myself into? You know, so like, I was like, all right, I literally sat down one night and I was like, let's just turn on a video on YouTube and just kind of see what the fuck this thing's about, you know?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Brain explosion?
That was some painful time because that's like where you disrupt your entire worldview.
Everything you've ever believed in.
Everything I ever believed in was now gone in a moment. Blimp.
I want to know what that night was like for you. Just
I can still remember where I was, dude. I can remember very clearly where I was laying and what I was doing in that moment, and I was like, oh shit.
How did you wrap your head around the idea that everything you've known is now shattered into bits and pieces?
That one took a minute because I remember for like a good week or two straight every day, I'm trying to make it not work. Like, no.
Oh, okay. So you were sitting there trying to force the other way around. You're like, no. I want to
Einstein's right.
The current.
They're all right. This has got to be wrong.
You're like,
I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight
it
because I'm going to pick it apart. And it's like one of those egotistical aspects of me where it's like, nah, I'm going to fucking attack this and I'm going to show you why you're wrong. And then I showed myself why I was wrong. And I was like, oh, dude.
And I think you had to go down that road as well to like prove to yourself that you weren't
the
wrong,
harder I tried to fight
wrong.
it, the harder I knew it was real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how else to see it, you know? And that's why as people who get close to me, they hear me say sacred physics. It's because I then realized that's the unification. Everybody talks about the grand unified theory of everything.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. It's quantum physics and sacred geometry. Merge them together. You now have sacred physics and you have unified it all in my head. No, sure, I don't fucking know everything, and I haven't had any mathematical. Look, man, this is fringe, I guess, in a sense. You know, like I have a lot of understanding, and I can take you through every mainstream observation, study, name it, and I can then explain it to you, I think, better using sacred geometry. And that's stupid. I spent 20 damn years of my life I spent trying to do string theory and M theory and all this shit, dude.
Yeah, right.
Particle theory. I did it. I sat there trying to force it, and it's all bullshit.
Chaz, you know what's crazy? Is that had to be a part of your life path.
It did.
Because you had to learn everything that you had to unlearn.
Yeah.
You literally, like, I don't know. There's something about you knowing all of that and now looking on the other side of the veil and being like, no, that's real. Everything that I thought I knew, because now you knew that part of it, but now you know it's not.
I feel like it's two parts of this in my head that I feel like is being played almost. Okay? This is getting some weird shit almost. But
almost.
Deep shit. I feel like one aspect is I never made good grades. I graduated with 1.7 GPA. It's horrible, dude. This is like, you might as well have failed out. How did you even pull this off? Like, you're a moron. Right. You're never going anywhere.
Done.
Yet, I know quantum physics at a very deep level. So they were taking the indoctrination and removing that part of it, but still giving me what I would have gotten on my own terms. And they did that then on purpose because they wanted me to take that and fucking use it against them and smack it right back on them.
Literally.
And say, hey, yo, no, I'm not a spiritualist, because they've demonized that terminology.
Absolutely.
And they like, you're a crackpot. Okay, well, can a crackpot tell you about the double slit theory? And can they break it down for you? And Casimir, and go through all of this and really talk to you in depthly about it, and then start to use your own fucking textbook teachings against you?
Exactly why you had to learn that side of it. So now that when people come at you about that side, you say, no. I've looked at this my entire life. Now I'm looking differently.
They inherently don't think I know or have read into something because of what I'm saying. It's like, dude, that's so crazy. Yo, you need to go read up on, like, I don't know, the double slit theory, you know? And I'm like, I've read it every which way you can read it, dude. You've seen it. I've drawn the damn thing out.
Literally.
I have drawn it out. I've tried to make sense of this in their way. It's dumb. So, like, don't tell me I don't know that. Ask me or challenge me, but I get the same thing. It's too complicated. You need to go educate yourself on this.
People are so good at telling you what you need to do.
Dude, they're phenomenal.
They're everywhere. They will always say it no matter what you know or what you actually know of is the truth.
Yes.
Like, they'll always say, no, you need to go look into this because what you're saying is no.
And that's the indoctrination that I regurgitated out and said I'm not taking it. And it's funny because as a kid, I didn't even know I was doing it, nor did I understand at any level why I was doing it. I was just like, bullshit, hate your game, not playing it. It was really more of like, I can't win your game and be me. I will have to be that.
Yeah, because you do.
And I'm not that. And you know what? God told me to be me. So fuck you.
And look at you now.
Damn right. You know, like it is. Most people look back, like most people at that time were like, that guy's going nowhere, which is funny. Like that's not on me being smart. It's a problem with the system and the perception of what the system means. If you don't go through it, you're dumb.
Right.
That's
immediately dumb.
Just dumb. And that's so, sure, you could be. I'm not saying you can't. At the same
totally
time,
still possible here.
At the same time, you don't need it. You don't need it.
No.
It's not.
Take me for an example.
Again.
I started in the second grade and ended in the 7th, and I'm smarter than half the people that I know that graduated.
That's sadly true, yes.
And unfortunately, it is.
It's because they've been indoctrinated by all this nonsense.
Complete nonsense.
Then it's disrupting their... I didn't even get taught quantum physics. In fact, true story, I was reading in 9th grade science class, I was reading the book called An Elegant Universe by Brian Greene. Yeah, Brian Greene.
Universe.
It was a book on string theory. And this was my first introduction to quantum physics, was 9th grade. That was like really when I dove in, right? And so I remember sitting at my table in science class, and I was reading the book, and my science teacher, Miss Norton, you fucking bitch.
Hi, Miss Norton.
I remember you. Miss Norton walks up to my desk, looks at the book, looks at me, and says, "A little advanced for you, don't you think?" And I thought, damn. You know what's funny? Even as a kid, I remember looking at her and be like, I mean, kinda. Yeah. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to look at it.
Wish you would help me, teacher. Instead of just making fun of me and walking off because I can't make your grades your way. That's retarded.
Dang.
That's retarded. Now, hey, Miss Norton, you want to come on this show and have a fucking quantum physics debate with me?
Challenge.
I would eat that up because I already know you don't know because you've been indoctrinated. That's the part that like makes me mad is the school system really has pushed all of this so hard.
Yeah, and they have, and they've gotten away with it.
Oh man, dude,
for years,
a century.
Ugh.
It's been 100 years of this, man.
It really has.
They have force-fed us nonsense.
You talk to any native American especially. They used to live with the land. They know all about the things that we have been pushed and indoctrinated on. And they look at us and they're like, I can't believe you believe in all of that stuff.
I know.
You realize none of that's real, right?
Yeah.
Because they know the truth because they've lived with the land forever.
Even Egypt, we see them as so primitive, yet they can build the pyramids. But we see them as so primitive. And here's where the indoctrination and manipulation goes into with this whole thing is like kind of playing off what you were just saying. It's like they write a book called The Book of the Dead. Not really called The Book of the Dead. We renamed it that way.
Just like we rename everything.
It's like the Book of like Life in the Light or some shit. You know, it's not necessarily the Book of the Dead. It goes on to tell you about the net and this force in the net and how there was a being that came and could manipulate the force in the net and could bring back life and all kinds of shit.
Now it makes sense why they demonized it and made it the Book of the Dead.
It's just the Book of the Dead. Because everything has to be about fucking tombs and dead people. Mummies and tombs and dead shit, dude.
When you push religion the way it has been pushed and then you name something that way, that's a sin to go read that book.
I wasn't
They're going to hell.
Like, I mean, I don't really care to read what they have to say about the dead right now in my life.
Right.
Now I'm realizing, like, it's not at all about the dead, damn it.
Wait a second.
It's like part of Star Wars and shit. Like, that's part of the story, too, because there's multiples of these books of the dead. Book of the caves and book of this and book of... Dude, and they all talk about all of this.
The lore of Star Wars is 100% real. If you actually looked at it, we have all of the abilities that the Jedi in Star Wars have. Yeah. We just haven't been trained and we haven't actually set our sights and our mindset on that because we've been told it's not real. And it's witchcraft if you know how to do that. If you know how to move something with your mind, it's witchcraft. Don't do that. You're going to hell if you can do that.
That's true.
No, that is not the case.
Harry Potter.
Exactly.
Harry Potter's trying to tell me how sacred geometry works.
He's always trying to tell you how sacred geometry works.
Tell me how shit works.
Chaz.
Yeah.
Let's start sacred physics out. What do you have off the top of your head to start this roller coaster of emotions?
I think it comes down to sacred geometry goes into everything is in vibrational state. Every vibrational state has a cymatic pattern base to it.
Yum.
Every vibrational state has a auditorial sound. And I started thinking about it. You know, there's like two kinds of waves. There's electromagnetic waves that make up everything. And then there is mechanical waves. And I've tried to understand the relationship of the two of them because they're identical and you can convert one into the other. So like these are like really? They're like really intermingled with each other. So think about it. Like a lot of the things we do, we'll take the vibrational sound and we'll convert that into electrical.
So they're not the same thing though.
Think about a crystal and your a quartz crystal watch.
Yeah.
The battery.
Sure.
It's just a vibrating rock, but it powers things. So you're telling me sound mechanical vibration turns into electromechanical power. These are very coupled with each other. And one is the manifestation of the other. You can't have mechanical waves without electromagnetic waves because electromagnetic waves builds the matter. The matter is then used for mechanical waves. Mechanical waves only work through matter. Otherwise, they're electromagnetic waves.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's either vibrating the ether or it's vibrating the matter of the ether. So the only way the sound can get to you is because there's air between us.
Like surfing the wave through the air?
I say something and I essentially pulse back and forth on the airwaves, and the air's doing that back and forth, and then hits your drum, and your drum goes back and forth.
I mean, our drums vibrate, right?
Yeah, and so what is that?
Like
It's a vibrational frequency, right? And then your brain converts that into an auditorial, something you can hear. All right, well, then you look at your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are the exact opposite but the same. They take in the frequency of the electromagnetic waves into your eyes. They convert the frequency into color. Frequency is color. So they're all sound, color, shape is all frequency. Frequency is everything. Vibration's everything. They make up everything together.
Are they one in this? Are they the same thing but separate at the same time?
I thought they were actually just the same thing.
I mean, because it sounds like they're the same
they're
thing.
They're not. They can't be.
Okay.
They can't be. In my head. Sure, you can argue me and I may be wrong, okay? But like
I just can't wrap it around.
Sound is so clearly a matter-based vibration. It needs, we vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
We are the things vibrating.
Right.
Right? So like when I take a rock and shoot vibration into it, sound vibration, I'm vibrating the actual, but like electromagnetic waves. What, do you tell me that the cell signal waves aren't going through our bodies right now? Passing through everything right now?
Absolutely.
But like sound can't really do that. Sound, you feel it.
You do, because you do feel sound. You feel sound a lot.
You're like, oh shit, I'm getting fucking attacked from fucking everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Electromagnetic waves are going through the ether.
Okay, yeah.
So we don't feel that. Now, it can be radiation if it's at high enough frequency.
And then you feel it?
Then you'll start to die from it.
You only feel it. You don't feel it coming into you. You only feel the reaction your body has to it, technically.
Yeah,
so you don't feel it
UV
until it
radiation
reacts
is
to
like
you.
burning your skin. It's like hitting your skin and like,
You don't think it's doing something from the inside out? You think it's an outside in?
I think it's a collision of the two.
Okay.
Because in the end, like our skin's our shield. It's just a shield for the inside. So it's
right for the mechanical things that's going on up in there.
And it's designed to take on that radiation. It has to do it all day. Everything
all
is
day
fucking
long.
radiation all day. And it's having to learn how to deal with this and all
It's
our
just-
cells and everything.
Once it gets to a certain amount of it,
We can't take it.
it's like, whoa, back it off, bro.
Yeah, when you start going to the gamma rays and all that shit, then you die. You just die for that shit. Like you start melting, dude. It like interacts with your cells, and your cells will start to disintegrate and just die, and then your skin starts to just melt off and shit. It's a real thing.
Have you seen a body disintegrate from radiation? Does it literally
not
just
in
start
person,
melting?
but like, yes, I've seen it. I've seen I've seen real photos of it, and it truly is. Your skin melts off of you, and you just melt. Your whole body just starts to just disintegrate on itself, and usually you have organ failure.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you die.
Imagine.
Not like bleed to death.
Oh my
Not
God,
like
your organs fail? That's how you die from it?
Internally, your organs start to disintegrate and crumble, and then they die. So you lose all your skin, and you just sit in agony.
That sounds so
They look like little mummies, dude. And like the crazy part about that is you open a core to like a plutonium core, you open that shit, and you're too close to it, and you close it back, you're already dead. You are already dead. It's already done, dude.
Since we're in the radiation topic,
Yeah.
the
What
Ark
is
of the
radiation?
Covenant,
Yeah.
I think, and have thought for a long time, that it has some kind of radiation inside of it. And that's why anytime anyone got close to it, they would...
Well, what's it made of?
Quartz granite, I would assume. I don't actually know. Is it gold?
The
What
Ark
is the Ark of the
itself
Covenant?
is said to have made of gold, I'm pretty sure.
After I said quartz granite, I was like,
How much do we talk about how conductive gold is?
Very, extremely. I mean, you only need a little bit of it to...
And
be
this
that
is like
conductive.
a giant, thick gold box that multiple people had to carry
Yeah.
to enclose something very. And if we enclose a plutonium core, it's ingrained in this giant fucking metal sphere that we've designed around it to harness in and contain the radiation.
A plutonium core.
That's for a nuclear bomb.
Okay, how did it get in that box though so long ago? Why would we have had something?
We take stable plutonium that we find. It's like a rare type of plutonium we find in the ground. Yeah. And then we refine it. And I guess in a sense it's like alchemaic at that point, because we're just like removing or either adding or removing protons to it to create a different isotope, which is like, that's uranium-235. That's uranium-236. So that's because they just took uranium and they added more neutrons to it so that it's not positive or electric. It's not converting in their way. It's not converting the element to something else. It's just adding more particles in weight or mass to it. I don't really know how that fucking works because I think it's stupid anyways, but it's not the point. That's just what they say, okay?
Okay, so how did we found some and put it in this gold chamber box?
Yeah, we experimented with a bunch of different types of very radioactive material.
Because it was...
Go ahead.
It was meant to, like, the holy... people thought it was, I don't know, some kind of spiritual God-style box, right?
Yeah.
Is that not the lore behind it?
And, like, anytime anybody took it, like, people all started dying all around it. Cities would die. They, like, wanted to give it back and shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No one really liked to be around it.
How did these people carry it?
I mean, as long as it's in the box and closed, then
okay. So when all these people were dying, it was
it's exposed.
Open.
It's exposed. You don't want it to be exposed.
They just had no idea what it was.
Yeah, or not properly.
Wait
enclosed.
a second. How did the person end up closing it not die? Maybe they did die, but successfully closed it.
You can get close enough, and you can. It's slow degradation.
Okay.
Let's put it this way: I do the opening, and then I close it. I'm dead, but I'm not dead at that moment. I'm going to die over the course of a week.
Okay, so
it destroyed all my DNA. It destroyed all of my cells. Nothing knows how to replicate itself anymore. Nothing knows how to work anymore, and my body just fucking disintegrates down and dies. And it's a slow degradation over the course of days of a week. And you can take iodine and shit, but it's not gonna fucking. If you're that close and you get exposed that hard, you're dead, dude. And they even know.
You don't even know.
In fact, the scientists that do know this shit's happening, like this famous part of this where like one guy apparently saved like everybody.
But killed himself in the process?
Essentially, because he saw the core was opened and went and closed it, knowing, doing this, I'm dead. But if I don't, everybody else will continue to die too. Right? Yeah. So, yes, someone can close it. They're dead. They're going to die. They're going to die. That person will die. It's just a matter of time. They will slowly start getting sick. They'll start vomiting. Their skin will start to melt off. Next thing you know, they're like, of just a fucking corpse.
Yeah, the first time anyone opened that box, I bet they were so confused about a week later.
Dude, yeah.
They're like, why is my entire city, village just...
How many people died coming around that thing?
Yeah.
Before they finally realized.
They had no idea what it was. Like, they probably thought it was a disease, a famine, or something. They probably had no idea it was that little box.
Yeah, and that was always my favorite of what's-his-face, Bob Lazar.
He's so good. Such a good talk.
Dude, love Bob. And him talking about the gravity device where it can manipulate gravity. And he was like, we play with this thing the same way you took a nuclear bomb and gave it to a fucking bunch of scientists 2,000 years ago, and you watch all of them just die because they're just going to keep poking at it. They're going to open the thing up. They're going to get exposed. They're going to die, and they're going to have any fucking clue why.
Yep.
That's where we are with this device in his head. And that's the same kind of ideas. Like, whoa. We don't really know. We didn't know much about that shit.
What device are you talking about right now? What was Bob talking about?
Bob Lazar, as much as they've tried to discredit him, I think it is true that he did work at Area 51.
Yeah.
And he worked on highly classified alien technology that we had recovered. And one of the devices that he said he worked on specifically was the device. It was a sphere, I think he said. And the sphere was... able to manipulate gravity, and it was like essentially the motor of the device. And he was a specialist in like propulsion and shit like that, and like rockets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they brought him in to try to help out with that part. And so they said that it was being done by a element that they had never found or understood. They'd never seen this element before.
Okay.
And that's how it's so something about that. I don't know what the fuck that element is.
If you have not listened or know who Bob Lazar is, I highly recommend going and checking him out. I know he has a Joe Rogan podcast.
That's the one to watch, man. That's the one to watch.
He dives deep into that thing.
He does.
That was one of my first Joe Rogan podcasts to listen to. I was like,
that's a good one, man.
This one is so good because it went right down in my alley of aliens and everything.
Yep.
Boy, come to know, they were all just here in the first place.
And
it's just us.
That's what I came to realize.
It's just us from the future or something. Like they've just been here all this time.
And again, that's the muddying of the waters. No, they'll come down.
Dude.
Well, of course they will, you asshole, because you don't want us to know they're already here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea in my head is that everything comes down to frequency, waves, vibration. What did Tesla say? Resonance, vibration.
Frequency? Is that the same thing?
Frequency.
Resonance, vibration, frequency?
Because what is resonance then?
I don't know.
What's funny is like we've talked about this and I know, but like on the spot, yeah.
I was so bad at tests in school or anytime teacher would call on me, I'd be like, I don't know this question. And then as soon as it went to someone else, I would say the answer in my head and it was right every freaking time.
So when I say it, you're about to say it right in your head. I know. Yeah,
probably not.
No, because you are going to know because we've talked about it. Like when something resonates with you.
Yes.
They two things that sync. So resonance would be two frequencies that seem to. So like when two waves interact with each other, they either have an interference pattern where they interfere with each other.
That's dissonance, right?
It's like canceling.
Okay.
Like I'm going to destroy this. Like we're just done now.
Not resonating with
and in hacking world, that's called jamming. I'm going to send the same signal you're sending, and I'm going to interfere with yours, and now we've canceled them out, and I've jammed your signal.
Okay, I thought the same signal would be resonating with it, but I guess that's
It depends on the angle at that point. Now, if I'm doing it if we're both doing it and shooting it the same direction, then yes, now they will resonate. But if I shoot them against each other, now if I take two, this is where the ether and electromagnetic waves like really start to fascinate me. Two waves collide that are the same frequency, they clash. Two waves collide that are of different frequency, right on through each other.
I saw a video of a tuning fork. Someone hit it at a frequency and it didn't move, right? There was this little ping pong ball on a string. And then he used the same frequency that the other tuning fork was and then hit it and it went and the ball moved. Like it wouldn't budge. He hit it hard too and would not budge on the other frequency.
It's all about the right frequency.
I think it was a 432 tuning fork.
My man.
And then the 432 other tuning fork resonated with the one with the ball.
Yes. They have to match. Otherwise, it'll just interfere and cancel. And so we know this. That's why we, when we have Wi-Fi, we've got Wi-Fi that designates channels. So the Wi-Fi coming into my computer versus my phone are on two different frequencies. They're part of the 2 gigahertz range, but they are 2.1 gigahertz and 2.2 gigahertz. Because if they are both 2.1, we cancel.
Okay.
Or we like enhance, but then only one device would get it because they're only looking at that. But like that depends. So resonance in that world is like two frequencies that happen to link up and be a bigger frequency. And then they came to realize that harmonics plays into that. So you take a frequency of 100 and you double it to 200, that's the harmonic of 100. So those would be resonant frequencies together.
Right. Okay.
They can also create a bigger wave. Because like 100 and like 125 and they shoot it the same way, just kind of like two fucking waves just kind of interfering with each other. But
going, kind of nasty waters.
Kind of shit,
choppy.
Correct. But if you take a 100 and a 200, you get a bigger clean wave.
Right.
Okay. You get a resonance of it.
Because they're doubles of the other number. So like if he had hit, 432, if he had hit an 864, would it have done the same thing?
Oh, you mean the diameter of the sun?
Is that what that is?
864 with a bunch of zeros afterwards?
Yeah. So
sacred geometry, people. They could fucking have it all day, man.
They all hit the...
Oh, 432? You mean 432 times 432 is the speed of light? Oh, man. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And then half of that is the diameter of the sun? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I mean the diameter of the moon? Sorry. All right, keep going.
You're just going to hit me with another one. Where's my 369?
Oh, there's too much in that one. There's way too much, man. That one.
We decided that 369 plus each other equals 9.
Yeah,
that's pretty great. I love it.
They all do this.
They all,
that's how you know it's like a sacred number. That's really, I think, I've been trying to figure out is how do you figure out what a sacred number actually is, because no one can actually tell you that. They've muddied the waters on sacred geometry. I don't think it was on purpose, actually. I think this one was just
You don't
like,
think so?
I don't. I think this was like a bunch of crackpots out there trying to figure shit out, kind of a thing. And we muddied it ourselves.
Stirred the pot so bad and it turned into mud. This is not what
CIA was like, dude, just let them go, man. We already fucked up particle theory over here. Y'all guys are good, you know? Yo, what were you going to say? Because I really want to know now.
I don't know.
Damn it, dude. Because whatever it was, I was like, shit, I need to shut up because I actually want to know this. And I just kept doing it.
I don't freaking know where I was going with that. We're on to the sacred physics now. Let's go.
But I would say, no, because resonance is a part of that. Tesla said it too. And if you want to enhance power, if you want to, when you do wireless power, right? I take this, I put it on top of a charger, it starts charging. There's no wires that are connected. So how does it do it? That does it through induction and resonance. Those two coils are designed to match each other so that they then create like a inductive connection between each other. Versus if they weren't aligned properly, and I just put any old fucking coil in there, it wouldn't work. In fact, you could potentially like catch the whole thing on fire and blow it up.
Oh, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's like not a good idea. But if they are resonant, wireless power.
So not every wireless pad could charge the same
they have to be
device, huh?
Q or Qi. I forgot what they call them, but it's a QU or QI logo on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a standard. You know, you come to realize with all this shit, they have to come up with standards because
is there a reason for that?
Anybody can just shoot off 5 gigahertz frequencies. So we need a standard set. So we had the the FFA or whatever, whoever controls the airwaves. Think about
it the FFA?
If I don't think it is actually. If you are a radio station, what keeps anybody from using your station? If I'm in an airplane, who keeps anybody from using our radio chatter stations? That would just, dude, if I started just interrupting their communications in air, that could be catastrophic, dude.
And you know people would. People love messing with shit.
Well, and technically you can right now, but it's a federal law that you will go to jail and fucking be paid. You'll pay for that
for
one.
A very
and they will
long
find
time.
you, and they have all kinds of tracking devices to pull it off, so they can do this.
Yeah.
You know, so at that point, it's like, but who regulates that? There's a governing body that has designated out spectrum to people. And this is why I laugh at, like, I started to understand this concept when I was trying to understand Sprint and Singular and Verizon and all these cell phone services back in the day. And I realized that like Sprint had to have a designated amount of spectrum from the frequency band given to Sprint to have for their customers. So that all their calls have to be within a certain frequency. Otherwise, you're now in Verizon's territory. That's their frequency now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like it's commercialized, dude. Fucking frequencies are being paid for and bought now. And you can't touch that shit unless you know it. There's specific radio frequencies that people like us could utilize that are on the low end and no one gives a shit about. And then if you want to go the higher ones, you got to have a license for that. And then there are just like straight up restricted ones. End of story. Like you don't
restricted for like military governments and things. Okay,
weather devices.
You can't touch it.
Yeah, like you don't.
No.
Yeah. So like, there's a spectrum. It's all the same shit, and we're divvying it out because if you don't, they'll all interfere with each other, and then you won't be able to get shit done.
Are there infinite amounts of spectrums of like frequencies?
I mean,
because we have a lot of things on so many different frequencies that aren't interacting or interrupting each other, right?
No. Yes and no. You know, it's like it can go, you know, like 1 through 10. Is it really just 10 numbers, or is it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2?
Right.
Now how many numbers do we have?
And then
1.1.
And then how many numbers can go 1.1, 1.1, 2, and then 1.
And then like, do I have to stop at 1.9?
Yeah.
Why can't I do 1.10?
How many numbers can you put on the back end?
Correct.
After that point.
That's kind of like frequency. You can break it down pretty small. At some point, though, they will start interfering with each other if you get too close.
Okay.
You got to have a separation. There's a certain mathematical way to know that how much separation you need before they start interfering. Yeah.
Gotta love math.
Hey, dude, you know what's funny is quantum physics doesn't really play to this game. It doesn't. It's really shady. Because, like, all of what I just told you did not come from fucking quantum physics. That was the foundation. All of that really was, like, ingrained into my head by fucking sacred geometry.
Indoctrination.
I was indoctrinated by the spirits of this world. Yo, but that's, like...
Some things you can't muddy and some things you can't hide. Like...
You got to trust your gut and intuition.
Yeah, that's
and just believe in yourself and be willing to be wrong.
That's a hard one for a lot of people, I think. Willing to be wrong is, I'm so right, though.
Yes.
Like, everything you thought you knew, you probably toss that right out the window.
It's really sad. And, like, again, go back to that day on the couch of seeing everything being, like, wrong.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at life wrong. All I saw when I looked up the stars was quadrillions of infinite amount of photons being shot down at me. Photons. Fucking photons, man. This is the dumbest shit. And, like, I get it now because it never was going to lead me to the answer. The moment I abandoned particle and went into this vibration idea, I realized, like, oh, shit. It's all wrong. I'm just so stupid.
Not wrong, just not right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. It was not right, dude. It was not, you know?
Far from it.
Yeah. And you know what? This makes now way more sense as I was thinking about this today.
Chaz, what in the world is that? It looks like a little top. Like a tiny little miniature top. Exactly.
Yeah.
What is that?
Called a Utron. And if you Google it, you'll see the Ultron from Marvel Universe.
And for the people listening to the podcast, will you explain what this thing looks like?
Yes, it is essentially, it's symmetrical, the same on top and bottom, but it's like a cone shape. It's a perfect circle, it's a perfect square, and it's a perfect triangle all in one. So the top part of it is a circle base with a cone triangle shape, and then when you put the two together, they'll then form into a perfect square. And so together they make all three shapes. Now, I couldn't figure out to a certain degree why this seemed to matter. Why did Tesla want us to know about this particular shape? Because I really thought about this today. I think this is the atom. I think this is the atom. Well, technically, this would be the atom.
Why that?
Because that's a magnet.
Oh.
So this would be, what does that look like? Like a tornado, hurricane?
Yeah, like a funnel.
Like a funnel, right?
Everything's a funnel these days, like everything. Plants.
This is the first shape that gets sustained by the cymatic patterns of electromagnetic frequency. It warps itself into a funnel that then sustains itself in the swirl and creates a whole pocket to shoot, kind of like, and then essentially you take the other side. Now you have the north and the south, the in and the out, right? And then you build a toroidal donut around it. And now you have a magnet. The north, the south.
Oh, I see the little donut. Yeah.
And that's why when you see these pictures, you're looking straight down at it in that picture. That's the black hole. So like it's warping space around it to funnel it into here. And then it funnels it back out the bottom. And that's the spiral you're seeing. You see that funnel always into the circle, but you never see it go in there. It's always circling around it. It's always around it, right? So it's all warping into the Fibonacci spiral, the golden ratio spiral. That's what that is going into it. And then there's just a hole that comes out the other end. And now you have the North and the South Pole. You have attraction and repulsion. This is like the atom to me that is created from the triangle, the cone.
It reminds me of a black hole in a way, too.
It is a black hole. Black holes are magnets. Magnets are black holes. There's no difference between the two of them.
One and the same.
They are one and the same.
On different scales, different levels.
Everything's a fucking magnet.
Everything's a magnet.
Everything is a magnet.
It's a hard concept to wrap your head around.
I get it.
Because you're like, how is everything? I don't get how everything could be a magnet. What does that mean? What do you
because
mean?
this right here would attract another magnet, and then another one, and another one, and then what do we have? Matter.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two of them at that point? Oh, wait, no, that's a proton. It's a neutron.
Is it
Is it charmed or is it up, down? It's like...
the weak
Why are
force
we
and a
doing
strong
this?
force?
Yeah, for real. And that's what they call this. Is like, hey, the weak force is where it repels away, and then the strong force where it attracts in. So a magnet? Again, I go back. That's just a magnet.
You just explained
And
the
like,
magnet,
no, it's so much more complicated. It's so complicated, though. There's all these other interacting particles and stuff that are going on in this. And I'm like, no, there's not. The ether swirls in. How does a tornado or a hurricane form? Show it to me. Just explain it. You're telling me all this air just kind of comes together and just becomes a funnel and starts sucking shit up and down?
Sounds
out of
sexual.
nothing, and then it just disappears? Well, it is sexual because it's the makeup of us.
We are very
So
sexual.
you would be sexual by that, yes. But like,
Welcome.
why is that any different? There's no difference between those funnels, the black hole, all of this shit. It's all the damn same. It's all the same. And so that's when I realized if you then inverted it, all right, if you spun this, you get the toroidal donut. Everything expands out from the center. If you did this right here, now it should actually shoot up and down, not out.
Why up
would
and
be
down? What do you
would
want
be
up and down for?
It would be inverted, and at that point, you could have propulsion. You could have beams, ray beams, like a force of like electromagnetic pulse, like, and it just shoots straight. The problem, like right now, most of the time is when we shoot off electromagnetic waves, it's like a pulse in every direction. But what if you could focalize just a in one just beam of fucking wave energy going through the ether?
Sounds like a lot of energy.
I think this is what they call a scalar wave.
I don't think I've heard of a scalar.
It's because they don't really fucking talk about it very much, man. And it took me years to figure out
'Cause
anything.
photons,
And to
man.
really honestly, they don't really ever explain it very well. I don't really know what the hell it is, to be honest. If you want to go off mainstream, I really don't know what they talk about.
Mainstream loves getting complicated. Like they love making things complicated when it's actually extremely simple. It's like they in their heads, they're like, it can't be this simple. There has to be so many more elements to this. So let's just make up a whole bunch of words for different things when it all comes down to this one thing.
Yes.
A magnet.
Yes.
They're like, no, that's not it, guys. It cannot be.
But where's my proton and where's my neutron?
The weak force and strong force.
We proved it. We've observed it. And that's why I say, like, what does that mean exactly by observing something? Does observation mean fact? What if two people observe the same thing and come to two different conclusions?
Because they do. Very often they do.
All the time. So you can't observe something and say that's fact. You can't do it.
Very true.
That's perceptionary as shit.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the moment you start interacting with the quantum world, you inherently fuck up the quantum world. So,
whoa.
Yeah. So at that point, you can't really observe it without inherently fucking with it. You can't do it. It's like almost an impossibility in my mind. I don't know how you would do this.
Have we observed the quantum realm?
Yes and no. You know, it's like that's the famous double slit theory is that we... All right, I'm going to tell it to you like I am 10 years ago, okay? We will take a photon of light and we're going to shoot it at two slits, all right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see if it goes through the slit or not. Well, we came to find out that it was creating a wave pattern on the wall behind it. We could see where it would end up at the end, and it was going through both slits. In the end, it's going through both. One particle of photon splits into two, goes through both. Okay?
And that's with observation? Or does that matter at this point?
At this point, all we're seeing is we shoot a photon, goes through both slits, because on the other side, we're seeing two markings on the wall.
You're like, but we only shot one.
Well, we only shot one. Should only go through one slit, but we're seeing two outcomes. All right,
Cool.
So at that point we say, let's observe it. Well, that's actually way more challenging than you think, because if you're observing, the camera has to get the light, but you're shooting the light over here, so you're gonna put it right here and shoot at. Well, now, right? So what they did was they had a mirror, and they like shot the particle this direction, and then they shot another observational particle this way to bounce off the mirror and come back. Okay, and so when they did this to observe they wanted to see, like, why are you going through two? How are you doing this? So when they did this and they actually managed to observe it, it goes through one slit. So inherently, you looking at the particle as it's traveling will change what it does. It would go through two. You look at it, goes through one. You don't look at it, two. Look at it, one. Every time. That's what we observed. That was our observation right there. So what we came to the conclusion of is that it lives in a superposition, meaning that it can be in any state. We don't actually know the state. It could be positive, negative, up, down, left, right. We don't fucking know. It could be in any state. It's technically in superposition means it's in all states at one. Okay? That's like the cat, Schrodinger's cat.
Right.
Put the cat in a box, put some fucking poison in there, close the box. Is the cat dead or alive? You don't know until you've opened the box. So it lives in superposition. It is both dead and alive at the same time until you open it, and at which point you will then have unwrapped the superposition into a final state of either alive or dead. That's superposition. Okay? So we're observing this light photon that's in any state. Therefore, the way they theorized it is that its light takes every path because it's trying to find the fastest path. So you mean you just send out a giant wave of light? It's just a fucking wave, and you fucking idiots can't shoot one particle? And that's inherently not how that works. So you got two slits on the other side because it's a wave of light, not a fucking particle. And then when you shot something at it to go observe it, you just blocked it from getting to do what it needed to do because you just sent another wave at it. So these two waves collide. And now you don't get the same fucking result anymore because you inherently just interacted with it by trying to inherently see. By trying to see it, you interact with it. You just manipulated it. You just fucked it up. So you'll never get what you think you were going to get. So what we are perceiving as a unwrapping and a decision, the particle is making a decision because you're observing it. Because you put your eye on it, the particle is now deciding what to do.
Why do you think the particle decides what to do once you observe it?
I used to have arguments with people on this one all the time. And you know what? My fucking boss, my coworker now, I guess, has the best I've ever heard on this one. And he said it is the universe's way of optimization. It doesn't need to tell you what it is because nothing's looking at it. But when you look at it, now it has to decide. And so everything's almost encrypted. It's all jumbly goo. It doesn't need to be anything.
To save processing power. Because you can't generate an entire simulation.
Correct.
All the time like that.
Correct. So instead, it becomes a particle once observed, essentially a wave when not observed because it's of every caliber. We don't know. And that's where Schrodinger's equation comes in and says, look, we can find out one attribute of the wave at one given point in time, but we inherently never know anything else about it. We can know one thing. You can know a place that existed in that moment, but that's fucking it. You can know nothing else.
Imagine we walk out of this room and everything is just what it is without anyone observing it, right?
Yep.
Does that mean it goes into superposition?
If you believe in particle theory, then yes. Well, I guess if you believe, I mean, again, they weren't like theorized, but yes.
We've already, observed it, right? We already have made that connection and observation. Does it go back to superposition once you stop observing it?
It would leave a mark. It did go through the hole and left a mark on the wall afterwards.
Okay, so
it would turn into one particle and continue.
Memory. Maybe it has memory of sorts.
If you subscribe to particle theory, yes.
Explain particle theory. I don't know if I subscribe to it or not.
Particle theory is proton, neutrons, electrons, and
that's mainstream
waves.
science.
This is mainstream science, 100%. And this is what I have started to walk away from. And I don't think, I think atoms and particles and matter exist.
Kiss
not
shiny metal ass.
But not how they've been telling us, I guess, in a sense. So how do I explain this? All right, so we right now we say wave particle duality. We know there's waves. We know this. You can't deny it. We utilize radio, Wi-Fi, light, fucking name it, dude. We know that is how that works. We know radio waves and electromagnetic waves way better than we think we do. We can bounce them off of the ozone and travel them around the world and all kinds of shit, dude. Okay, this is like, and we were doing that, by the way, in like the 20s. Okay,
whoa.
We've known how to do this, all right? But when you then look at one, it fucking unravels itself because you fucked with it, okay? And it turns into a particle. And it's like one thing now in one place, and it's just a particle.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like it just converts into one. I don't know how. I don't know how anybody has ever tried to explain it with any kind of like, that makes sense. Boy Genius kind of tried, and I give him credit. I don't think it made total sense in my head, but like that's really where we're heading. It's like the wave turns into the particle, and the particle can turn into a wave, and they can just like go back and forth, and they're just like one and the same. And this idea of like, well, if you were to look at the particle and then it changes like that, it would just be one particle now. It would settle on one distinct idea, and it takes one path now. You observed it. It unraveled. One path. You don't observe it. It doesn't have to take one path. It can take all paths because it's not fucking knowing what it doesn't have to manifest itself yet. Okay? It's all bullshit to me. Because if you really start to look at it, you're like, all right, well, if you shot it and you don't interact with it, it's a wave, so therefore it'd go through all the slits. You put 3 slits, it'll go through 3. Put 4, it'll go through 4. It's just a...
Without observation?
Without observation.
Yeah.
Once you observe it, now you have to look at the fluid dynamics of 2 waves interacting with each other. And so when you look at water and you see 2 waves hit each other, what do? They come like this and they shoot up a little droplet of water. Comes back down.
Yeah.
They shoot that out. They 2 collide. Shoot out a fucking droplet of pure ether energy ball. And that is what we see coming, ejecting out of it. Particle. So they're mixing up not only the magnet particle that I have idea, but they're mixing up balls of ether energy traveling through the ether as a ball of particle. That's the way I see this. And they even do, I'll take it a step further. In Casimir's experiments, he put in a vacuum 2 gold plates super close to each other, and they started to experience a natural attractive force naturally.
Without anything else?
Nothing else.
Right?
Nothing. Proving that there is a flowing energy in the vacuum naturally. Then they observed, out of nowhere, what they call as virtual particles. These particles would appear in between the cavity and then just disappear. Boop, 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 boop. All right, well, if you had in a vacuum a constant flowing of energy, you're going to have the goo, the bubbling of the waves. So what's going to happen? Little droplets. Boop, 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 boop. Right? The water's going crazy.
Right.
You see little droplets of water shooting up randomly everywhere.
Everywhere.
Virtual particles. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing the little bubble. Because they just come and they go. And no one's been able to do. They call them virtual photons. Because they're photons. But damn it, we don't know why they just appear and disappear instantly. So we're virtual photons.
They're already there?
Well, it's just an ether bubble that comes up and drops down. It's this little bubble of ether. Think of water. Imagine water. Imagine water bubbling. Imagine little droplets of water shooting up and down. That is exactly what this is, except for electromagnetic energy and waves. And we need to stop thinking of it like particles and start thinking of like fluid. It's like fluid dynamics now. And so these little photons are really just balls of ether that are manifested from 2 waves colliding and shooting out a ball.
Balls of ether.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, photon. No, photons are... That's what it is. God damn it, dude. That was a real-time fucking conclusion in my head. Photons are the ether ball. Particles are the magnets. Atoms are the magnets. Photons are specifically the balls of ether. That makes total sense based on how they explain it.
I was about to say, are you giving mainstream names these other names.
Mainstream says that light and energy comes from two magnetic forces that collide with each other. They'll shoot off a photon. No, they're two waves shooting off a droplet of ether. They say photon, I say ether. It's all about, hey, you observed the same thing I did. I didn't come to the same fucking conclusion.
Perspective.
I'm sorry. You know? And then at that point, if it were to merge and come together, and morph into a particle, it would be a magnet. So that's what that is. And a photon, they keep saying, is like, no, it's a product of the photons are like electromagnetic waves. They're like a product of it. They're like one and the fucking same to mainstream science. You can't run from this. Photons ride electromagnetic waves. Like they ride them. They are them. They're a part of it. It's all the same fucking thing to them. It's because they are. It's just a different type of wave. It's not a wave. It's a ball.
Wake up. If you enjoy this kind of content, we would love it if you would follow along, subscribe, follow our Spotify playlist, whatever you want to do. We would love it. It would help us out in the long run. It'd help you out too, wouldn't it? We love doing this. We love talking about these crazy conspiracies. Chaz really loves it, especially the debating part.
Yeah, dude. I hate that shit.
Absolutely hates it. I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Chaz, I guess.
And we
Today
are Awakening 101.
Woohoo! Hey, come wake up with us.